Hey, what's up everyone? This is my deck profile for the red Code Geass. It's also called the Pizza Deck. So I will show you what I have built for this. So the whole point of this deck is to get as many pizzas as you can into your sideline to boost up your other cards. This build is mostly based upon the pizza deck, like the original pizza deck, but there are also some changes that I made that have some Ashford Academy in it. So let's get into it. So to start it off, this is the zero drop CC, which pitches a card to your sideline, but you also can draw a card when you play it. So I'm running 4 of these. That card is good early game to get draw power and also pitch a pizza into your sideline. So next I am running 4 of the zero cost Suzakus. This I use for a raid target for Suzaku. I like this 0 also because it is a trigger to add this card to your hand. Just like the CC has a trigger, which is draw a card. Triggers are definitely important just to have in the deck because it can change the course of the game, along with if you aren't pulling zeros and can get energies on your energy line. If you are forced to take a life early game, having an add this card to your hand with a 0 drop is really useful, so that way you can gain momentum instead of constantly searching for energy. And then next we have the 0 drop Lelouches. This also has an add this card to your hand trigger and can be used as a raid target for the 5 drop Lelouch. And then next we have the 1 energy, 1 action Rivals. This one is, we call it a bouncer. So what this does is returns a character on your field with 1 or less required energy to your hand. So what you would want to do early game is to put a Lelouch down on your energy line and then play a Rivals to bounce this Lelouch back to your hand. So that way you have now 2 energy. This is really good if you run the 5 drop Lelouch, which I do in this deck, because you do need 5 energy on the back line, so you do need at least 1 card that produces 2 energy, which is important because there's not a lot useful 2 energy cards in this deck. So this is really good early on, so that way you don't have to consistently be searching for energy. I only run 3 of these because there is no trigger from life on this, and also this is a pretty low cost deck. I can run it without the 5 drop Lelouch, so I don't always need the 2 energy. It is really good though to have, but it's not necessary to have the deck work the way you want it to. And here are our first pizzas in this deck. I use all of the pizzas. I am playing a full playset of all of them. So this is 4 of the delivery pizza, which allows you to do the same thing as a CC, draw a card and then place a card from your hand into the sideline. This is also good because it is free. So, well, technically free. You switch an AP set to active. So when you play this, you are basically drawing and pitching a card for free, and then a pizza will end up in your sideline. So you need a total of 2 to really get the deck working. So I am playing with 4 of those. Next is the giant pizza. This is the second pizza that I'm running in my deck. There's only two, but I'm running 4 of each. This one, it allows you to choose up to 1 character on your field and it gains 1000 BP. This is also free because you do get to set one of your AP cards active, but this one does have a trigger, which is really nice from life because you are able to draw a card and put this into your sideline, which is useful. The one drop, the pizza delivery one, does not have a trigger, but it is really good for drawing a lot of cards. This one I don't really use unless I feel like I have a chance to raise somebody's BP to make it harder on the opponent. I mostly pitch this one if I have it in my hand, so I will, if I'm drawing a card and I have this in my hand and I need to put one in my sideline, I am putting this one in my sideline, only because it's not really useful unless you have someone on your front line that if you would raise their BP, it's useful. And then next we have our AP like switcher, so you can choose up to 2 of your AP cards and switch them to active. This is also your final trigger, so if you have 0 life, you put the top card on your deck onto your life area. So if this is your last trigger, you'll basically live for 1 more life. These I run a full playset of. I always usually do, unless I feel like I don't need to, but since the CC that is powerful in this deck does require 2 action points, this is very, very useful in this deck because playing one of the CCs does take up 2 of your actions. So if you feel like you need to do more in that turn, this is really useful to have in your hand. So I'm running 4 of those. And then I am running 4 of these Lelouches. These are searchers for pizza. This allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 pizza card among them, and then you can put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. These are really good. I don't use the searcher all the time because you don't want to mess up and basically bottom deck your CC or bottom deck something that you need. So if I'm just not pulling any pizzas and I really just need to get to the bottom of my deck fast, I will play these. I also want to make note that these are 3000 BP, which I will talk about later on once we get to the Suzakus and why this is actually useful. And this also has a trigger, which is a color, which you can sideline a character on your opponent's front line with 2500 or less BP on your opponent's line. This color isn't that useful. Most of the times they will be running higher than 2500 BP on their front line, but early game this is really good. This is the other 3 drop energy that I am running. This one also has 2 energy generation, which is really useful. I'm only running 3 of these also because there is no trigger. But if you do have at least one delivery pizza or at least 1 giant pizza, it gains 500 BP for each that you have in your sideline. So this can be a 4000 BP card, as long as you have the required pizza in your sideline. So for only 3 energy, you can have a 4K on your front line. This is really good. What I usually do is I will play this on my back line for energy generation, and then as soon as I get those pizzas in my sideline, I will push it up because now I have a 4K body set to active. I'm only running 3 of these because, like I said, it doesn't have a trigger. And let's move on to the next card. So this is the CC that I was talking about. This CC is the 2 action one that basically the deck is based around. So what this CC does, so depending on how many pizza you have on your sideline is how many abilities this gains. So if you have 2 or more, you can play this set to active on your field, which is really useful, so you don't have to wait a whole turn to swing with it. If you have 4 or more, it gains impact, which having impact, if anyone plays, is important. And then 6 or more during your turn, this character gains 1000 BP, so it becomes a 5k, and it has double attack. This is crazy because it also has impact, so you basically are guaranteed 2 life from your opponent, or unless they pull a trigger from their life that raises one of their cards BP and it's above 5k, so then they'll be able to block that second impact. But a double attack with impact is crazy. I've never had an issue having pizza in my sideline. I'm usually good with at least 4 in my sideline for this deck to win. I have occasionally gotten lucky enough to get to that 6 in my sideline and use the double attack. It's not impossible and it's not hard to achieve that. It just depends on how the cards that end up in your deck, and that's just RNG. So this deck doesn't necessarily have like a probability that you will 100% get to those 6 pizzas in your sideline. So if you like a fun deck that, you know, you could just search for pizza and gain abilities, and you're not really looking for something that will guarantee you wins, then this deck isn't for you. But yeah, this is what you want on your front line. So we are running 4 CCs. And then here is the Suzaku. You don't normally, I guess, see this card in the normal pizza build that people have, because this is more for the Ashford build. But I really like this Suzaku because I've had instances where I have never drawn haven't drawn a pizza at all in my game, and I actually was able to still keep up with the opponent's deck even with this Suzaku, and I also have the 5-drop Lelouch. So if you're not pulling pizzas and you still want to guarantee that you can play without just getting destroyed by somebody else, I would recommend putting these Suzakus in the deck. And then what I made a note of before with running the 3-drop Lelouch, that's 3000 BP. These are a really good combo that I found within the deck. So this allows you to search for pizza, which will set you up for the CC. And then this will also be good if you have a Suzaku on the field. So let's say you play this set to resting, and then you raid with a Suzaku after you just searched for your pizza. This has impact without having any conditions, so it just automatically has an impact when raided. And then also when attacking, you can choose up to 1 other character with 3000 or less BP on your field and switch it to active. So after you set this Lelouch down, after you just searched with it and you raided with a Suzaku, you can swing with this Suzaku and then restand this Lelouch to have an extra swing. Or if you already had the Lelouch standing set to active on your front line, when you raid this Suzaku, you can swing with the Lelouch first and then swing with the Suzaku, which will then bounce this Lelouch back up, so you get 3 swings, 1 being with impact. So that is an extra swing that you wouldn't have had without this card. So that is more like what the Ashford deck does, but I do like that addition in this deck because it doesn't rely on having pizzas in your sideline. So this is just a good way to keep up with your opponent. So that will bring us to Lelouch. This is the 5-drop Lelouch. I don't always use this. This is really good late game because of the 5 energy. I only really use this as removal. So when you raid on it, you can choose up to 1 character with 2k or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. But if you have 4 or more event cards, so that's not only just the pizza, it's also President's Order and another event card that I will get to. So as long as you have 4 or more in your sideline, you can sideline 4k or less. I found this useful late game because if you're playing another Code Geass deck, like specifically purple, purple has a lot of removal. This deck does not have a lot of removal, so this is just another way to remove someone, especially if you're like 1-to-1 life. They push up all their entire energy line, and you just need to punch through to get at least the last life. This is a really good late game removal, and all of these raid cards have triggers, which is also good. So that's why I added Lelouch in this. Also, just having 4k body and Suzaku with 4k body is helpful. And then this is the only removal in my deck, at least. There is another removal that some people run, but if it's a special, you can only run 4 specials in a deck. So I just chose to run the chess game because it relies on events, which is the whole basis of this deck. So as long as you have 3 or more events in your sideline, you can sideline a 5k or less card. So this is just removal standard for the deck. So yeah, that is the entire deck list of 50 cards. So if you have any questions, leave a comment, or if you have a different way that you built your deck, or have any recommendations, leave it down in the comments. It would be appreciated. I've been playing Union Arena since the beginning with Bleach, and I really enjoy this game. So if you're excited for other releases, leave a comment down below, and thank you.